All right, everybody, welcome back to Lantern TV Sports Basketball Show. We're going to do a little bit of recap today. Myself, Kevin Lapka, to my right, Matt Goldman, to my left, Casey Smith. Ohio State, unranked Ohio State with biggest upside of the year, I think we could say, in college basketball.
Definitely, no
maybe
doubt.
With certainty. Take down number 1 Duke. Mike Krzyzewski at the shot for his final time. He was there last in 2011, so it wasn't that significant. But Archie Griffin in the house. Jerry Lucas in the house, Ryan Shazier in the house to witness a 71-66 Ohio State upset. Casey, we'll start with you. First of all, very unexpected. A lot of people thought, coming off that loss against Florida in the tournament, Ohio State, being unranked, that this could have been sort of a wake-up call realization that, hey, they got a lot of work to do. They came out, proved the doubters wrong, got the 5-point win. What'd you like on Tuesday night?
Yeah, for sure. I was looking at the line. It was 3 points for Duke.
Of course it was.
And I mean, everybody was talking. They were like, oh, that's free money. Hammer Duke, hammer Duke. The line didn't move, so that means the sharps were on Ohio State. Big money was on Ohio State. So, I mean, those guys cashed with the plus three points there. But, no, I think Ohio State really rose to the occasion. They came off a tough loss against Florida. They were it was definitely a roller coaster when they were down in Fort Myers for the Fort Myers tip-off. Mm-hmm. They get the game winner from Michi Johnson. They lose on a game winner against Florida. That game was a lot of back and forth where, I mean, basketball, it's a game of runs. Duke, they went on a 1-for-14 stretch in the second half, and I think that was really the turning point for Ohio State to be able to come back. Ohio State didn't shoot the best during that time as well, so I thought they definitely could have pulled away and had maybe a 10-plus point victory. Another area that they could have had a 10-plus point victory, the free throws. It was so bad. Chris Holtman was talking about how he was sitting across and he looked straight across at everybody else in the front row, cross court from him. He said one of them, he couldn't remember which one, clanked off the rim, and he just saw a patron sitting there, drop her head, and just in disbelief, and he was right there with her. He was feeling the same thing. Yeah. So I think those are two areas that Ohio State has to clean up. But Matt, I really think this was really a big, impressive win for Ohio State.
It was gritty. The defensive push towards the end of the game, limiting Paolo, one of the most hyped players in America currently. He's projected lottery pick currently for Duke. Duke's a pretty well-balanced team. They're really athletic. When you saw them in warm-ups, you're like, oh my God, they're in trouble. Yeah. But Ohio State, the defensive push in the second half just was really impressive. You mentioned the free throw line. That's where I was going. 11 for 22, not that good at all. They're lucky Cedric Russell came in and was able to put some threes away, the free throws towards the end. But Ohio State, I think that shows to their toughness and that their depth as well off the bench, that they're able to get it done. If their 5 stars can't do it, they're going to have Cedric come in. They're going to have Justin Lawrence. Yes, he was a starter, but he was able to get it going towards the end. Ohio State, if they're able to do that day in, day out against the Big Ten, against the Purdue and the Michigan, they're going to have a good season.
I think what was crucial is that they did hit those free throws down the stretch, though. So 11-22 looks bad, but you saw AJ Liddell, I think he hit 2 to ice the game away there at the end. So they were kind of hitting them down the stretch. Now, you want to get them throughout the course of the game, but they kind of came up clutch in the end. But it was a win. It's still early in the season, still teams trying to figure things out. Ohio State has certainly had, I guess you could say, a roller coaster of a season, ups and downs. You've seen good things. You've seen, a win like this against Duke, but then you go back to earlier this season, you see those close shaves against the Akron and the Niagara, and then the losses they have. Casey, just watching this team throughout the course of the early season so far, what do you think they still need to work on despite pulling off this big victory? Because we say this all the time in college basketball, the upset happens, the question becomes, is it sustainable? What do they need to work on going forward?
I think they need to limit their turnovers, Kevin. Duke, they had 15 of their points come off turnovers, and especially against their pace, it was able to really throw Ohio State off, especially in the first half when they outscored them 43-30. Ohio State bounced back 41-23 in the second half. But Ohio State's turnovers, that's been a real issue, especially it was highlighted down in Florida and also in the loss against Xavier, where they turn it over. Their stretches 4 straight possessions sometimes, and like I was mentioning with Duke's pace, you turn it over, they're already down on the other end of the court, just ACC fast-paced basketball. They're laying it in before anybody's back on defense. So that was one of the issues that Ohio State really had, especially in the first half, but they cleaned it up nicely in the second half. EJ Liddell had 4 turnovers in that first half, none in the second half, 6 assists, 4 turnovers. So I think that's one area that they need to clean up, especially against Penn State. Penn State, I expect to hound Ohio State's guards. Michi Johnson had some turnover issues. Jimmy Sotos, he didn't get that many minutes. He only had 2 minutes the other night. I think Cedric Russell, he's the only guy that I've seen really that's been able to handle defensive pressure. Duke, they were trying to do the same thing, get a hand in his face, sometimes a double team before Ohio State would go down in the low post. Cedric Russell's the only one that's been able to handle it well. Michi Johnson turns the ball over. Jamari Wheeler had turnover issues very bad against Duke. So I think that's the biggest area of concern that I have for Ohio State. How about you, Matt?
I think going off your turnover thing, I think that comes with the off-ball movement. It kind of just looks stagnant at points. Their offense, just kind of guys are standing there. And then these contested shots they're taking are not the best shots. Zedke got lucky with some of his left-handed hooks. I mean, he was contested, and there was no movement.
Right.
And I think that's where Jamari and Michi, you talk about the guards a little, are just kind of throwing the ball away or not making the best pass selections within the game. And that's going to come with the mistakes, and that's something they need to improve on, because in the Big Ten, you can't stand still and expect E.J. Liddell to take over a game. You need to be well balanced. You need to have Justin Arns moving around on the baseline, trying to get those corner threes open. You need to have Jamari Wheeler kind of moving around up top near the free throw line to just try to kind of get a ball inside or even take the 3-point shot, because Ohio State, they got lucky at some points in the paint, especially Zedke, but just kind of moving around more off ball is something that I really noticed they didn't do well.
You're absolutely right. I mean, I look at this team, and they have a lot of talented pieces, but they're not fluid yet on offense. And I think that's what you see. You see a lot of let's kind of just pass the ball around up the top. Let's do these ball handoffs 3 straight times, and then if that's not working, nobody gets open. Let's get it down to Zedke, have him just post up the guy for 8 seconds, and he was feasting. He had game high 20 points on Tuesday night, and that'll work. But at times, you're going to have to get more fluid on offense and, more screens up top. They had one where E.J. Liddell set a screen and he got to, or I think it was Wheeler who got open to get a big-time layup down the stretch. And just more things like that, And look, if they were still able to win this game by 5 without that fluidity on offense, you should feel, kind of optimistic about what they still are able to do going forward, right?
And I'll address the elephant in the room as another thing they need to improve on, the free throws. They entered the game 71%. Decent for a team total. You'd probably like that more around 80%, especially come tournament time where free throws are going to be at a premium. Duke, they got into foul trouble. Theo John, he fouled out, and that's especially when Zedke, you mentioned, really started to have his work. He had some experience playing in a tournament, he said, against Mark Williams, the 7'1" center for Duke. So he was able to remember that and have a little bit more success against Williams there. But Duke committed 23 fouls. They had 4 guys with 4 personals, and like I mentioned, Theo John fouled out. So if Ohio State's able to do that and get down low, especially against Kofi Coburn, Hunter Dickinson, Travion Williams, get those guys into foul trouble, that's one area that they could really capitalize on in the Big Ten stretch. But if they're able to do that and they're able to go to the charity stripe, they got to make them.
Yeah, be more aggressive at the rim. You didn't even mention Zach Adee for Purdue, 7-2. You just drive and you get them to commit a foul. That you're going to get to the line. They were 11 for 22, but you're still giving those opportunities to get those free points right there. And they got Paolo in foul trouble. You said Williams, Theo John went out, but they limited also Paolo to 4-14 for field goals. Very impressive. I just want to mention that quickly. But Ohio State got to get more aggressive towards the line. But they'll improve the free throws. I think we saw not their best free throw performance today.
Yeah.
Or on Tuesday, excuse me.
Yeah, absolutely. And hey, Coach K goes out to the game and says he thinks Ohio State's a team that could have tournament success. And getting that kind of praise from a guy like Coach K, that probably means a little bit of something coming from him. But yeah, Ohio State, 71-66. Big Ten, actually, I think they won the Big Ten ACC Challenge 8-6 for the 14th straight time. So the Big Ten, it really is power conference in basketball. Purdue's probably going to be the number 1, and we'll see where Ohio State ends up next, probably ranked in the next AP rankings. And we'll be here to break it down next week. For myself, Kevin, for Casey, for Matt, we'll see you next week for the Lantern TV Sports Basketball Show. Take care, guys.